Throughout history, the art of war has determined the fate of empires, leaders, and civilizations. But war isn't just fought on the battlefield. It happens in business, relationships, and everyday life. Whether you realize it or not, you are engaged in a war for power, success, and survival. And in this war, there are only two choices: master strategy or be crushed by those who do. Today, we will unlock the 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene, arming you with the tactics of history's greatest generals, conquerors, and visionaries. Stay till the end, because every law builds upon the last, and missing one could mean the difference between victory and defeat. Part 1. Self-directed warfare. Before you can conquer the world, you must first conquer yourself. The battle for success starts in your own mind. Your ability to strategize, control emotions, and maintain discipline will determine the outcome of every battle you face. These strategies will sharpen your mental weapons and make you invincible in any war, whether it is against external opponents or the internal demons that hold you back. 1. Declare war on your enemies. The Polarity strategy. Life is filled with hidden conflicts, and failing to recognize your enemies is the surest path to defeat. Your greatest obstacles are not just external foes, but also internal weaknesses, self-doubt, complacency, bad habits, and toxic influences. If you do not declare war on them, they will consume you. Identify the forces working against you. Draw a clear line between ally and adversary, and wage war on anything that prevents you from reaching your full potential. When you embrace conflict as a means to sharpen your skills and solidify your purpose, you transform struggle into strength. 2. Do not fight the last war. The Guerrilla-War-of-the-Mind strategy. The biggest mistake in war and life is relying on past strategies for present battles. The world is constantly changing, and those who fail to adapt are doomed to repeat their failures. Success belongs to those who evolve. Study the present situation with fresh eyes, unburdened by outdated assumptions. Be unpredictable. Be fluid. Wage a guerrilla war in your mind. Discard rigid tactics and cultivate a mindset of constant innovation. If you fight the last war, you'll be crushed by those who are already playing by new rules. 3. Amidst the turmoil of events, do not lose your presence of mind. The Counterbalance strategy. Pressure exposes weakness. In times of chaos and crisis, those who can maintain their presence of mind will outmaneuver those who panic. Mental stability is the ultimate weapon in war. Train your mind to resist emotional reactions, distractions, and impulsive decisions. Detach yourself from the noise and observe events with clarity. The calmest warrior on the battlefield is the deadliest. Strengthen your mind through adversity and discipline, because those who lose control of their emotions also lose control of the war. Create a sense of urgency and desperation. The death ground strategy. Retreat is often the greatest enemy. When soldiers know they have a way out, they hesitate. But when they are cornered with no escape, they fight with. This is the death ground strategy. Eliminate all safety nets and put yourself in a position where failure is not an option. Burn your bridges if necessary. When you have no choice but to win, your energy, creativity, and focus will skyrocket. Your mind will unlock hidden reserves of strength. Desperation breeds innovation, and urgency forces action. Make your situation do or die, and you will fight like never before. Part 2. Organizational warfare. No great victory is achieved alone. Even the strongest warrior needs an army, and leadership determines the fate of every battle. Whether you're leading a team, running a business, or organizing a movement, these strategies will help you build powerful alliances, outmaneuver larger forces, and inspire unwavering loyalty. 5. Avoid the snares of groupthink. The command and control strategy. A leader must guide, not conform. The greatest threat to any army, business, or organization is groupthink. The collective pressure to conform, which kills creativity and critical thinking. People tend to follow the crowd, even when it leads to disaster. As a leader, you must rise above the herd. Establish a clear chain of command. Make independent decisions based on logic, not consensus. Encourage diverse perspectives, but never allow collective emotions to dictate your course. Your authority must be absolute, yet flexible enough to adapt. If you surrender to groupthink, you'll be blindly marching toward failure. 6. Segment your forces, the controlled chaos strategy. In war, speed and adaptability determine victory. Large, slow-moving armies are vulnerable to swift and agile enemies. The same applies in business and life. Instead of relying on a single, centralized force, break your army into smaller, independent units that can operate on their own. Decentralized power allows for quicker decision-making, greater flexibility, and the ability to strike from multiple angles. Give your teams a clear mission, empower them to act, and then let them execute without micromanagement. Control chaos rather than fear it, because in war, those who adapt the fastest survive the longest. 7. Transform your war into a crusade. Morale strategies. People will fight harder when they believe they are part of something greater than themselves. The best leaders do not just give orders. They create a sense of mission. Inspire your people with a cause that is larger than life. Define an enemy, rally your troops, and make them feel that victory is their destiny. Give them purpose, and they will fight to the death. When morale is high, ordinary people perform extraordinary feats. Whether in business, politics, or battle, those who believe they are on a righteous crusade will push beyond their limits. Part 3. Defensive warfare. Knowing how to defend is just as crucial as knowing how to attack. Victory is not only about gaining ground, but also about holding it. Defensive strategies allow you to outlast stronger opponents, protect your position, and weaken your enemies before delivering a final blow. 8. Pick your battles carefully. The perfect economy strategy. Resources are limited. Energy is finite. If you fight every battle, you will burn out before reaching the real war. Great warriors choose their battles with precision. Do not waste time on meaningless fights. Conserve your strength for decisive engagements. Consider the hidden costs of war: time lost, goodwill squandered, and enemies emboldened. Sometimes the best move is not to engage at all. Be strategic, not reactive. Every battle should serve a greater plan. 9. Turn the tables. The counterattack strategy. Attacking first often exposes your position and weakens your options. Instead, let your enemy make the first move. Observe their tactics, anticipate their next step, and then counterattack from an unexpected angle. Patience is power. Let them believe they have the upper hand, then strike where they are weakest. The greatest victories are won not by aggression, but by calculated response. 10. Create a threatening presence. Deterrence strategies. Sometimes, the best way to win a war is to ensure it never begins. If your enemies fear the cost of attacking you, they will hesitate. Build a reputation for being dangerous. Make it clear that any attack will be met with overwhelming force. Unpredictability is also a weapon. If your opponents do not know what you are capable of, they will not want to find out. A reputation for power is often more effective than power itself. 11. Trade space for time. The non-engagement strategy. A retreat is not always a sign of weakness. It is often the ultimate act of strategy. Sometimes, the best move is to withdraw, allowing your enemy to overextend themselves. Do not respond to every provocation. By refusing to engage, you create doubt and frustration in your opponents. You gain time to recover, regroup, and prepare a decisive counterstrike. In war and in life, sometimes doing nothing is the strongest move of all. Part 4. Offensive warfare. Once you are prepared internally and have fortified your defenses, it is time to take the offensive. Offensive warfare is about striking first, overwhelming your enemies, and dictating the terms of battle. In any competitive field, business, politics, personal ambitions, those who attack with precision and power determine the course of history. These strategies ensure that your attacks are calculated, overwhelming, and impossible to recover from. 12. Lose battles but win the war. Grand strategy. A single battle does not determine the outcome of a war. Short-term setbacks can often pave the way for long-term victories. A grand strategist does not fixate on minor losses, but remains focused on the ultimate objective. Sometimes, allowing your opponent to think they are winning can lure them into complacency, making them vulnerable to a decisive strike. Every setback should serve a greater purpose. Learn to think beyond the immediate fight. View the battlefield from a higher perspective and ensure that every move contributes to the larger war effort. 13. Know your enemy. The intelligence strategy. Understanding your enemy is more valuable than any weapon. Weaknesses are not always visible on the surface, and strength is often a well-crafted illusion. Study your enemies, learn their habits, uncover their fears, and anticipate their next move. Do not simply observe their actions, penetrate their minds. Find the pressure points that will make them collapse. A well-placed psychological blow can be more devastating than brute force. The more you know about your enemy, the easier it becomes to manipulate. 14. Overwhelm resistance with speed and suddenness. The Blitzkrieg strategy. Speed is a weapon. Most people are slow to react, trapped in cautious decision-making. If you strike before they are ready, you force them into defensive mode, making them react rather than act. Blitzkrieg, meaning lightning war, is about moving so fast that your enemies cannot form a coherent response. Hesitation is defeat, attack before they can think. The element of surprise is your greatest ally. When the enemy is still analyzing the battlefield, you should already be securing your victory. 15. Control the dynamic. Forcing strategies. You must never allow your opponent to dictate the terms of battle. Always force them to react to you. Keep them in a defensive position, constantly trying to adjust to your moves. Control the pace and nature of the engagement. Force them into uncomfortable terrain, mentally, emotionally, or physically. Dictate the rules of engagement so that they are always at a disadvantage. The best way to win a war is to make sure the enemy is never truly able to fight it on their own terms. 16. Hit them where it hurts. The center of gravity strategy. Every enemy, no matter how strong, has a core weakness, a vital organ that, if attacked, will bring their entire structure crashing down. It could be their reputation, their confidence, their supply chains, or their key alliances. Identify what they value most and strike there with precision. This eliminates the need for prolonged conflict. Instead of wasting time on small attacks, focus all your power on their most vulnerable point. 17. Defeat them in detail. The divide-and-conquer strategy. A unified enemy is dangerous. A divided enemy is weak. Instead of facing your enemies as a single force, break them into smaller, weaker factions. Turn allies against each other, create internal disputes, and sow discord within their ranks. When they're isolated and fragmented, their resistance will crumble. A divided force is far easier to control and destroy than one that stands together. 18. Expose and attack your opponent's soft flank. The turning strategy. Direct attacks often stiffen resistance. Instead, lure your enemy into exposing their weak points. Engage them in one direction while preparing to strike from another. Use deception to make them think they are safe, then attack from an unexpected angle. The best warriors win by maneuver, not brute strength. 19. Envelop the enemy. The annihilation strategy. Do not give your enemy room to escape or regroup. Once you have gained the advantage, surround them completely, psychologically, strategically, and tactically. Cut off their ability to retreat or call for reinforcements. When they feel trapped, their morale will shatter, making them easier to defeat. The most effective victories are those in which your opponent surrenders before the final blow is even struck. 20. Maneuver them into weakness. The Ripening-for-the-Sickle strategy. A wise warrior does not fight endless battles. He positions the enemy into a state of inevitable defeat before attacking. Manipulate their movements, cut off their options, and lead them into a trap. The best victories are those where your opponent is already defeated before. 21. Negotiate while advancing. The diplomatic war strategy. Always appear open to negotiation while continuing to advance your position. Keep your opponents distracted with discussions while you gain ground. This prevents them from realizing they are losing until it is too late. The most skilled warriors conquer without their enemies, even knowing they are at war. 22. Know how to end things. The exit strategy. A battle poorly ended can undo all previous victories. Do not let conflict drag on unnecessarily. When victory is within reach, secure it and move on. An incomplete or messy conclusion leaves room for retaliation. The most successful conquerors know not just how to win wars, but how to end them decisively. Part 5. Unconventional, dirty warfare. When the traditional rules of war do not work in your favor, abandon them. In unconventional warfare, deception, misdirection, and psychological manipulation become the deadliest weapons. This is the art of fighting dirty, where those who master illusion and subterfuge dominate those who rely on brute force. 23. Weave a seamless blend of fact and fiction. Misperception strategies. Control how others perceive reality, and you control their actions. Feed your enemies false information. Make them believe in illusions, and they will act on false premises, leading to their own downfall. The most dangerous warrior is the one whose enemies cannot see the truth. 24. Take the line of least expectation. The ordinary extraordinary strategy. People expect their opponents to act in certain ways. Use their assumptions against them. Appear predictable and harmless, then strike in an unexpected manner. The more ordinary you seem, the more devastating your surprise attack will be. 25. Occupy the moral high ground, the righteous strategy. Frame your actions as noble and just. This will weaken your opponents by making them appear unethical or selfish. If you control the moral narrative, even your most aggressive moves will be justified. 26. Deny them targets, the strategy of the void. Do not make yourself an easy target. Remain elusive, hard to pin down, and impossible to predict. If your enemy cannot find you, they cannot attack you. 27. Seem to work for the interests of others while furthering your own, the alliance strategy. Use alliances to gain power, but never let them distract you from your own objectives. Make others believe you are working for their benefit while secretly advancing your own position. 28. Give your rivals enough rope to hang themselves. The one-upmanship strategy. Encourage your opponent's arrogance and overconfidence. Let them believe they are winning. Then watch as they destroy themselves through their own miscalculations. 29. Take small bites. The Fait Accompli strategy. Do not go for instant conquest. Instead, take gradual, incremental steps that go unnoticed until you are in complete control. 30. Penetrate their minds. Communication strategies. Control the way your message is received. Make people think they have arrived at your conclusions on their own. Manipulate perception, and you manipulate reality. 31. Destroy from within. The inner front strategy. The best way to defeat an enemy is not to attack from the outside, but to infiltrate and dismantle them from within. 32. Dominate while seeming to submit. The passive aggression strategy. Appear weak while secretly pulling the strings of power. 33. Sow uncertainty and panic through acts of terror. The chain reaction strategy. A small act of chaos can spiral into total domination. Confusion and fear paralyze your opponents, making them easy to control. Master these 33 strategies, and you will never be unprepared for war, whether on the battlefield, in business, or in life. Victory belongs to those who think strategically and act decisively. The war has already begun. Will you be the conqueror or the conquered?